one simple thing can kind of really change the trajectory of your whole life's outcome. And I've got a great example for this. So it's something with me recently. But changing just one variable in your life, whether no matter how big or small that may seem, can kind of like really, let me adjust this thing. That can kind of like really change the trajectory of where you are headed in life and what you're doing with your life. So let me give an example here. I've had this one car for a while, this other Mercedes I've had, and I had purchased it originally to do as a flip because I got a good deal on it. And then I spent a shit ton of money. Well, originally I didn't. I spent a small amount of money fixing the issue that the car had. And got that all solved. And then next thing you know, after I fixed the issue I had, which was a bad timing chain, the car still wouldn't start. So I continued to put more and more time and effort into trying to figure out what to do with it. And after spending so much money and time trying to diagnose what was wrong with it and buying new parts and doing this and that with it, it kind of got to the point where, one, I wasn't really, I had to fix it in order to make a profit on it. Like, I had to, what is this dude doing? I had to actually, like, fully figure out the issue to fix the problem. And the issue with this car is that the problem was somewhat unfixable. I mean, I'm sure if somebody with enough time and their sole purpose was to diagnose that car, they could figure out what was wrong with it. But for some reason, the fuel injectors didn't give the car any fuel. And everything, I had replaced just about everything on that car. And it had no other symptoms of other things being an issue besides maybe a potential ECU issue or a SAM module or a bad wiring harness or something. In which at that point it's just really not worth it to go through with all that. But in the mix of me trying to figure out what was wrong with it and all this stuff, I kind of like went through these phases of deciding whether I was going to keep it, I was going to do something with it, make it into a project car, take the engine out. What do I put something else in there? Do I make it nicer and then sell it still broken so I can get more money? Like, what do I do with it? And I had it for over a year, something among those lines, and then eventually it kind of got to the point where I just had to finally chalk up my losses, which were probably, I don't know, $4,000 or something like that, and just kind of junk the car and have LKQ come get it and pick it up, and that way I can make more room to do more things. But this car sat on the side of my house in the area where I used to work on my cars and stuff like that. And because this car was sitting over there for a year, I couldn't really do much back there. If I needed to work on something, it would have to be that car because it was bricked right there. I couldn't set up. I've got this shed tent thing that I'm setting up to do. That way I can kind of do car wraps and stuff like that in there and work on my cars in there and make more content with that for you guys. But I couldn't set that up because obviously I've got a car in the way. So I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to put all my tools and toolboxes inside of the tent because it's obviously not set up because I obviously have a car in the way. There's really like, that limits my amount of content I'm able to branch out to because, I make self-improvement content, but I also, blend that in with cars and the gym, and I can't quite do as much of the car side stuff that I want to because I had the car in the way. And, I was so focused on trying to negate my losses with the car and trying to figure out a way to still make a profit on it that I just not just that I ended up losing more money through the process, but just ended up losing more time on it. And it kind of just blocked so many different avenues that I could go down and so many different things I could be doing with my life because I've got this damn car right here. And now it's gone, and I got dirt $700 for it. It doesn't matter though because I don't have to deal with the issue. And even like I had another company that was scheduled to pick it up, and they kind of threw me around the ringer and ended up not showing up, and then they ended up calling me out, after they said they weren't going to show up, and they just showed up to my house, and then they told me that they were going to come back the next day to get it, and then they just no-showed there. And it kind of starts to stress you out a little bit because you're like, well, shit, this one thing controls a lot of my life. And the point I'm trying to make with this is, even though it seems like it's just a car or whatever that you have, it's like, oh, well, what is owning one car that you don't even do much with affecting your life? But it blocks so many other avenues, and it blocks so many other roads that you could be going down and exploring because that is in the way. And it might not be as visual and as direct for you as it is for my situation with that one specific thing, where it was just a car that was sitting there, so it was a physical object. But I've had this happen in my life with metaphorical things and traits and habits and things I need to start doing, things I need to stop doing. And I'm sure you can relate on that too, because something as simple as stopping eating late at night, or stopping eating certain junk foods, starting to go to the gym. It seems like such a small thing. It's just it's just that one thing. But that one thing kind of leads to so many different avenues. I don't know if I said stopping the gym, but I meant to say starting, but you get what I mean. But that, just one thing leads to so many different avenues and potential just new roads you could explore for your life. And you can't grow unless you finally decide to just bite the bullet and start doing the things you need to do, unless you finally just start, okay, I always wake up late, so now I'm going to start waking up early. Okay, I do X, Y, Z, so I'm going to stop doing those things. Whatever it may be, okay, I spend too much time on my phone between my sets, so my workouts are taking too long, or you're spending too much time kind of diddly-daddling around the house before getting your tasks done, so they don't get done in time. Small, simple things can really change just the overall trajectory of where you're going and what you're doing. So stop thinking, oh, this doesn't matter or that doesn't matter, because all you're doing is just you're giving yourself more excuses, and this feedback, you're entering this feedback loop that's never going to allow you to grow. But if you're not growing, you're dying. So you're kind of just self-sabotaging and fucking yourself, and you're never going to get anywhere if that's all you're doing. And that all can come back to just one simple thing, one simple, and maybe there's a lot of things that are wrong with your life, and and that's a position I've been in where there's just so many colossal fucked things from bad decisions you've made, and now you got to kind of pick up all the pieces and clean it up, and it seems so overwhelming, but you have, what are your options? Your options are to pick up the mess and to fix the problems, or to not and let them compound, get worse, and be more stressed. It's going to stress you out to start picking up the problems, because you're going to start seeing the things that you've been shoving under the bed, and you're going to start seeing all the things that you've been hiding behind, and you're going to kind of lose some of your coping mechanisms and all that stuff, and that's going to be extremely stressful. But it's not, the stress of that is not going to outweigh the feeling that you're going to get if you don't do that and just let it all pile up, and then one day you're on your deathbed and you're like, what did I do with my life? And if you don't fix it up, there's a good chance that you end up on that deathbed a whole lot sooner, because bad decisions do not lead to good outcomes. So anyways, take some time to sit down and think with yourself, what is it? What's that one thing that you're doing that you've pushed to the side, that you aren't doing, that's really changing the trajectory of your life and changing, or will change, where you're going and what you're doing? Is that not going to the gym enough? Is that not tracking your macros? Is that not meal prepping? Is it not going to the gym at all? What is it? Think about it, write it down, and make the change.